the shift.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 4. Dun, dun. Welcome to Shift Hit the Fan, people.
Welcome, shifties.
Shifties.
Well,
We want
welcome and be ready to be shifted upon.
what he said.
What he said.
We want to talk about forgiveness today. The world of forgiveness. What it means for each of us. We were talking about that before we started. What like the context for it, why I use it, why Elias doesn't use it, or find the value. We want to get to the core of forgiveness because I think there is a big like big variety of experiences that people have with that word. It's a very loaded word with a lot of meaning, and there's a reason there that people either do or don't say I'm sorry or want to forgive when being asked for forgiveness.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. Not wanting to say sorry, or even for me, not wanting even to be told, that someone's sorry. Like, it just doesn't hold any value or meaning for me. And I think that's maybe just a distrust for the word sorry. Like, it's just we use it so lightly that it almost has no meaning for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think it's a pretty common thing, but at the same time, there are some people that really hold a lot of value in those words.
Mm-hmm.
And I think whenever I think about the way my daughters are raised, with my wife teaching them to say sorry or to expect a sorry from each other, part of me just feels that ick feeling of like, sorry, the word itself doesn't really fix it. Like, can we come back together and find that unity, let go of the past and move forward? And that to me is just the most healing part of things. And we were just talking about this a little bit, but that's my big hang up with it, is that it just, forgiveness and being sorry, the words themselves just feel empty and meaningless. And maybe that's just the way I've grown up, but
I look like I'm asking for forgiveness. The tears just don't stop coming out of this eye because the light right here. Forgive me, Elias, for wanting to say I'm sorry. um, I think what's missing is like what I was saying is the context for it, and that's why it is actually empty and meaningless. It doesn't have substance behind it, and unless we can get beyond just the word I'm sorry and please forgive me, which for me, I love them because they are part of the Ho'oponopono prayer, the I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. But I know that when I'm saying I'm sorry, I'm saying it to myself, and I know the context for it. It's I'm sorry for being unaware of the programming uh, that's that I have that's had you show up the way that you do for me. Please forgive me for being unaware, for perpetuating this, for having created it somehow back, when I was an amoeba, right? Out of ignorance. For me, it is loaded, but I don't like, I also don't like using it for, I wouldn't say never. I do use it, but rarely, because I would rather get into the conversation, into the meat of it, into understanding what went wrong over there in their world, that they're left with an experience of being hurt, of being not seen or heard, or a boundary was crossed or whatever it is. And I think that's what's missing in the I'm sorry. And people expect uh, the whole story to be told in a I'm sorry. And but then there's those people that just need, that resent the person who won't say it, right? Which
Yeah.
is another reason why I just want to give another context for it. But I won't just say the I'm sorry. I want to get to the bottom of it. And I think a big thing too that just came up is like a lot of people just don't know how to say more. So they want to say something. And for those of us who don't like to say I'm sorry, it's sort of a frustration of, how do you not know yourself better to know what's going on, I think.
And I think uh, there's this feeling of escape. Um, a lot of times we have this feeling that we want to fix somebody else. Someone's telling us this big, long story of how they've been hurt or the things that they're going through, and we want to fix them. Like we want to fix their situation so that we don't feel the pain ourselves. So we don't have to empathize. So we don't have to feel that discomfort within ourselves. And so that I think is a part of the sorry and the forgiveness. Is a lot of times we say sorry or we say something along the lines of being forgiven to escape the uncomfortable feelings. And I think when I think about my own self and not wanting to use sorry in the recent years, it's kind of come from that aspect of I I don't want to escape the pain anymore. And so this came up with our meditation we just did on Monday. Um, and Avra gave us this beautiful meditation, and we looked at our lives, and we're sticking these bad feelings into a mirror. And for me, I had to go off course because my body was like, I don't want to stick this outside of me. I want to really feel this. And I think that's part of why I've gotten to this point of not wanting to say sorry or yeah. I think that's really, it's mostly the word. But even like that feeling of I didn't want to say I forgive you. It was just more of a I want to feel that negative energy and understand it and be with it and love it and move forward knowing that was there and okay. And for me it's kind of like a silent forgiveness. It's and I think that's a huge part of me and who I am is I'm very physical. I like to feel it. I like to be with it. And I'm not great with words a lot of times. And so the words for me just don't hold the meaning as much. So I think that's where I get with it is like it just
Mhm.
feels empty. It feels like an escape a lot of the times. And I think I feel that with my wife and with others. Like I don't want to say I'm sorry because I don't want to feel like I'm trying to escape the situation. Like just fix the situation, make it better. Though, like you said, my wife really appreciates that word. To her, it means a lot. And so we have that struggle sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah. For with that meditation, my my intention too was to have us carry the weight, to feel it while we're walking, to make it, as to bring it up, and make it as present as possible on our walk. I even said, you can't even enjoy the sunshine because you're feeling, you're just feeling the weight of this thing or something. to the effect of that. And but for, there are those of us who are very visual and want to see what it looks like. We want to see it also reflected back at us. And I like to feel the energy of the and I guess we can also talk about integration at some point, because this is what was made clear for somebody in the in the meditation with us, is how we integrate, right? How we separate the light from the dark so that it doesn't become gray. And that was my intention in having it be there in front of me so that I can see the the darkness, the heaviness, and all that, because it's adding another element of um of the pain for me, the impact for me. And that's where that was coming from for me. And what I had said to Elias before we started is, there's an aspect of communication as well, being responsible for that. A person does want to hear the words, right? So if I'm treating myself like another being, if I'm supposed to be separating the light and the dark, even though I'm both, I'm the dark image is just is what we've been talking about all along. It wants to be seen. It wants to be heard. It has a life of its own. So what I was doing was I was giving it a life of its own, so that so that I can learn to uh, unidentify with the stories that I make up about things. And the whole point is to is to have true power. Because if we are so impacted and so weighed down and so identified with these things that that we think we don't give ourselves that opportunity to be something new or anything. We don't give ourselves that opportunity to uh, recreate, redefine, reinvent ourselves. And that's why I wanted to make sure to say, this is still you. This is the energy body that you've created out of all of these stories that you tell yourself about a thing, why you're fearful, why you're doubtful, why are you holding yourself back. I feel like I want to attach the recording. I'll just make sure that I crop out anybody else from the image so that
Yeah, we gotta add this meditation to the this podcast.
yeah, so that you have the meditation and experience it for yourself. It is, I mean, for some of them, it's really powerful. You can go off course, like, and do your own thing, whatever resonates for you. That is the point, is to learn to interact with that shadow self. And that's what I was doing, is distinguishing the shadow self in that. Uh, and for me, it is, oh yeah, the whole communication, because you want to give the person the what they want in hearing, I forgive you, or please forgive me, whatever, in response to you saying, please forgive me, which is what the exercise was, is to say, please forgive me to your shadow self. Forgive me for inventing you, for forming you, for creating you in this way. So, you know, beat down and whatever in this shape. And and to hear what you just requested said back to you. There's power in that, I think. But if you want to say back, I see you. Ugh, I love that too. That when Elias said that in the meditation, I just ugh, I can't explain what I felt in my heart, in my body, in hearing that. So there's a lot of power in that as well. because that is what we want to get to, and that's why we wanted to talk about forgiveness and and the attachment that we have to say, or some of us have to hearing the words "I'm sorry," is to get to the substance so that everyone in the conversation, not just the person that needs to hear it or that needs to be told they're forgiven or whatever, that everybody gets heard in that conversation and gets to experience a shift in the dynamic in whatever happened, that we want to get through or get past or get beyond. We want to get to understanding. Yeah.
That was my whole big thing in that meditation, is that when I was looking at myself, looking at the actions that are occurring now in my life, and looking at these past actions that had happened in my life, um, and specifically like these memories of my dad, yelling at me or lecturing me about these things that I did. Um, and it was just me trying to navigate life, trying to navigate the brain that I have. Um, for me, it was like this big distrust of, no one trusts me to take actions for myself, to really discover the things that I need for myself. And now that's kind of coming back up in my life, um, as I try to navigate, how do I own myself and my actions? Um, and when I was looking at myself, and in your meditation, you say, and say, I forgive you, and feel that. And however it was, I felt that strong thing of like, this person doesn't need to be forgiven. This person needs to be seen. Like, being forgiven means that there was a wrong done. This person hasn't done any wrong. This person has acted out of their best capability of acting, of like how to figure out life. And they need someone to see them and trust them and say, you're okay. And what you are doing is okay. And I think that's where my hangup is with forgiveness and saying sorry, is that most of the time it feels like there's a wrong done. And in my navigations, my explorations of life, I want to take away the good and the evil. Because as soon as I say that something's good or something's bad, then I've put the black and white polarity and taken away the whole of what's there. I believe that each person is acting in their own best interest, that they are trying to do their best with what they have. And sometimes those actions are really, really bad and hurtful and intentionally hurtful. Um, but even like when I look at my dad and the things that he was trying to navigate as a father, I don't want to say, I forgive you. I want to say, I see you. Like, I don't think my dad was doing anything wrong either. He was doing what he thought was best with what he had. I just want to say, I see you and I love you and thank you for trying your best with what you had and with the knowledge that you had. Um, and I think back to a time when I said that I forgave my dad, and it just felt very hurtful when I said, I forgive you, because to him, he was doing his best. He was doing everything he could to help me understand life. And it just simply wasn't coming from a place of listening. It wasn't coming from what I needed. And that's just from his own conditioning and his own learning. And it's up to me to change that within myself, to start to say, oh, this is what this person needs, or this is what I need specifically, and to give myself that. If I don't give myself what I need, if I don't see myself and give myself what I need, then it it just keeps perpetuating, keeps continuing that cycle of hurt and of pain. Nice, I've got the shades on now. Made me think of Men in Black. I need
I,
some glasses.
yeah, I just want to see if this helps.
Yeah,
Because my eye won't stop watering. I think it does help.
but yeah, so that's my big thing. Is I have wanted to be seen for such a long time, and our community, our manifestation community, and so many of my friends are helping me have that opportunity to be seen for who I am and who I want to be. Um, and I want to give that back to other people as well. So that's
Yeah,
my big thing these days.
yeah. I think that is the ultimate goal,
Yeah,
and is to have people get to that point where forgiveness isn't needed, and and that's not what we approach our conversations or our conflict resolution um, dialogues with. We want to get to a point of understanding that if you would have known better, you would have done better. And I see that you're just out here, another goober trying to figure out life with the information that you have, trying to remember what you knew either from other lives or from your access to that one mind, and you also forgot who you were uh, in this experiment that we're doing on this planet, whatever it is that we're here to do, right? uh I think that is the ultimate goal, and that's why for me I keep the context of I love you, the I'm sorry, because I know that for some people there is that transition period of not understanding, and if we had the understanding, we wouldn't be in the mess that we are. We wouldn't have a left and a right. We wouldn't have the extremes because we would know how to talk to each other. So that's where I still empower the at least saying to it, but then taking it further. Like, what? Okay, so what was the thing? What was the trigger for you? What was, so that I know better or whatever it is. Um, but I think this is just a matter of constantly putting in, just like with repetition with anything else. This is where we got to constantly put in. If the people would have known better, they would have done better. They wouldn't have done this. We're programmed to fight each other so that we're not paying attention to what's going on in, the in the power positions, right? So we have been brainwashed to this point of resenting each other and needing people to be perfect and needing everybody to already know how to be well behaved. We should know, right? Because we've been told it's all over the place. But except that what's all over the place is so conflicting and so confusing that you don't know what is the right thing. You just work with what you got. You work with the the programming that you were raised with and all that. So you just we've got to learn to have more faith in humanity, and that we're just easily suggestible, we're easily programmable, and that should be a magical thing. um,
yeah,
and with that repetition we could deprogram ourselves into learning to see. I see you, I see you. It should be part of our normal dialogue, like a greeting, right? That they have with with a lot of indigenous cultures all over the world. Those who are still they still know how to heal the people is, they say I see you, because they know that no matter what you bring, no matter what complaint, no matter what happened over on your side of the world, I'm going to hear it. I'm going to take it as truth because that's been your experience, and I'm not going to add anything to it. That is the forgiveness. That is the it's already, and you don't have to say I forgive you. It's just I hear you. I see you. What you have said is truth. And that's it. That's all we want, to acknowledge that the other person's experience was real. So if we can get beyond having to say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, uh, thank you, which is the Ho'oponopono prayer.
Yeah.
We
And
can
I
get,
think this is where I want to level it up even more. And I think, and I hear you saying it, but I want to like put this thought out there too, is I want to get away from even thinking about good, better, best, because I want to see everyone's doing their best. That's my that's my hope, to be able to see in each person. To see someone that our society and culture would say is the most horrendous person out there, and say that you are doing your best. And um, even with the conflict in Palestine, and what we're seeing with Netanyahu, is I I look at that and I'm saying, for me, I see Netanyahu doing his best with what he has, and that's how I choose to see that. And I know that gets controversial for a lot of people, um, but I think if we want a perfect world, then we have to make it a perfect world, and that's our choice to make inside of ourselves, is to take out the good and the evil, the right and the wrong, and just say, this is what's happening. This is what's here. What do I want to do with it? And how do I want to interact with it? What's the choice? What's the perspective that I'm choosing to have right here and right now? And I think that forgiveness has its place. And I don't think that it's a lower thing than saying, I see you. I think what I feel with it is that we tend to make it lower. I forgive you. If we
grovel,
really, what was that?
grovel at my feet.
Grovel at my feet.
that's that's
Yeah,
what you were saying earlier, right? Like, people need you to feel remorse.
yeah. And I think that's, if we, I think what we tend to say with I forgive you is that I am willing to move on from what happened, but I still hold what you did as wrong.
Mhm.
And I think that's okay. It's fine if we want to hold that. To me, I want to say, what you did hurt me, and I know you're trying to do your best, and I'm willing to move on. And I don't have to remember that anymore. Like, I don't have to think about how you did this thing to me. I I just want to move on and live now and in the present moment, and give that chance of infinite potential to happen right now. Whether that's something that's uncomfortable or something that's comfortable, or something I like or don't like, good or bad, right or wrong, everything is accepted right here and right now. And we look at the scriptures, judge lest you be not judged, or
Judge not,
whatever.
lest you be judged, and by the same measure.
Yep. If we don't want to be judged, then we have to stop judging.
Hmm.
And that's a hard thing to do, because we make judgments every single moment.
Yeah.
And it really gets into that infinity of the moment, the infinite parallel universes that exist from this very moment of what's happening, all the infinite possibilities,
Mhm.
and allowing those to exist inside of
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah. I think it sort of goes back to, my intention with the meditation is that some people just need to see that you are remorseful, that you are really sorry. And if they don't feel it, if they don't see it for themselves, they don't believe it's authentically you wanting to move on. And if we could learn to not need that validation for ourselves, that evidence of that somebody's remorseful, that somebody is truly mourning, that somebody is really, really sorry, uh, then we can move on from things. We can heal from things. I know you did a thing, you lied, you did whatever it is that you did, and that's something that you did. You are not a liar. You are not this person. We could learn to separate those things, uh, then we don't have a reason to forgive or a need for the I'm sorry.
You are a liar, and you are a truth maker and a truth teller.
Yeah, you're
You're
all
everything. You're all the
exactly.
labels and none of the labels.
You're the duality. You are the wholeness. You are complete. Yes. You're not only a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's where we just I think that's the beautiful dynamics of our life, is that we get to play with the duality of things. That's what creates growth and learning and perspective shifting, and because we can't hold everything all at once. It's and we do and we can, but we can't at the same time. Like our minds are simply limited to what's in front of us. And as we continue to play with that duality of right and wrong and good and bad and comfort and discomfort, um, we're going to grow and be able to hold more space inside of ourselves for what exists, for the existence of all things. And so I think it also has its place. And while I want to get rid of good and bad, while I want to get rid of the right and wrong inside of me, I think it's also there for it has its place and has its place to create the whole, to create the contrast, and to create all the beautiful spectrum of colors that lie in between the black and the white.
Hmm.
And I
It
think
rem-
that's the beauty of life.
yeah. It reminds me of a story Neville Goddard told about how he ended up getting 2 tickets to the sold out opera Aida. And it's one of my favorite stories because it's about me. But he says that the reason that he got it is because, this sold out show, the 2 tickets that he wanted, and it wasn't even for him, it was for his brothers who were visiting, is because the person, he had witnessed a person in front of him hand the the cashier or whatever, the box person. He saw them handing them a certain bill, and then another person coming in and distracting that person, the box person, right? And uh, so that when he gave his attention back to the person in front, the person in front says, I handed you a 20. You need to hand me back $10 or whatever. And that was a whole, like, distraction. They were trying to cheat the dude, and Neville said, "No, I saw him give you, this bill. You're not supposed to get change back, right?" So he was about to get. They were trying to argue for that, and the dude that was distracting, running away with the money, Neville stops him, like, "Stop right here," because his energy was so commanding that the dude knew he was in trouble, and he just came back and righted his wrong or whatever. But Neville says that he ended up getting his tickets because of his command. First of all, he got the VIP tickets that are saved for people who are very important people. And he says, and I'm not a very important person, but because I just saved this cashier from losing $20 or whatever, and that was a lot of money back then, uh, he, gave me those tickets and, to the sold out show. He says, and there's nothing to forgive with the robber, right? With the con man. You never know when you're going to need a thief to help you get the thing that you want. Everybody's playing their part perfectly, because if those two people weren't there to do their criminal activity, he wouldn't have gotten the thing that he knew he was going to get. The universe and even moved the universe even moved him to another line, um, so that he could be in the same line where that's happening, so that he could get the thing that he knew in his mind. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen, right? So he says, never forgive you. There's nothing to forgive. He's totally on your side with this too. With, with there's everybody's just playing their part perfectly, um, and it's all helping you get to the things that you've put out there that you said you want in life. So there's never anything to forgive. Uh, Usually, whenever my brother does something, I'm like, "Thank you for the contrast, you rascal," and that's it, right? That's there's nothing to forgive. It's all playing its part for me, for you, for everybody.
And again, going back, even forgiveness plays its part. And I think about, the dynamic that I've had with my wife or with anybody else, somebody who wants to hear a forgiveness, a sorry, or um, my daughters do this to each other all the time. She didn't say sorry. I'm like, all right, well, what do we want now? But at the same time, like, take away take away the negative feeling that you have of feeling sorry. Find it within you and just say, I'm sorry. I see you. I feel your hurt. I feel your pain. And I think I get hung up on that too, of like, I don't want to say it because I know I'm going to do something stupid again, or something stupid compared to what somebody else thinks.
Hmm.
And so that's usually why I don't like to say. That's another reason I don't like to say sorry, is because like I'm going to do it again. So my sorry feels very ingenuine.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't live up to your expectations of me.
Yeah, I'll say sorry, but only to appease you.
Hmm.
But even that holds its place. I think I think we learn and we find and we grow, and like you said, we all hold our part in life. And it's scary to like feel like there's everything in our life holds its part. But I think it's a beautiful perspective to really feel like whatever wrong or whatever thing is uncomfortable and we don't like,
Hmm.
that it's holding its part in our life.
Hmm.
And can we learn and grow from that part?
I was just thinking of Jim Carrey. I don't remember which movie this was from, but he's like, "Fine, let's just do everything you want to do." Right? That's what came up.
Mm.
We expect people to live up to the presets that we have for what a appropriate, good, well-behaved person is supposed to look like. So we don't give them the room. They have to do what we want, and they don't have the room to be human and to mess up and to be flawed and you know goofy and learn their own lessons. We want them to learn the lessons that we want. Will you forgive
Yeah,
us? Forgive me for my attachment to you being a certain way.
And I think that's a wrap.
That is a wrap.
So, Shifties, let us know how you feel, what you thought, what your thoughts are. Add to the conversation
Yes.
because I'm sure there's a lot more to say to that. And go listen to our meditation because,
I'm gonna link it in there.
yeah, let us
In
know
the
what you feel
description.
about that. And if you want to start a conversation about it, let us know. Send us some private DMs in the TikTok or Instagram or something. Chat about it if you want to.
Yeah.
But we're here to chat.
Yeah, we're creating a
Chatty
space.
Cathy.
We also are creating a space for us to talk about these things. It's still under construction. So, but we'll have a space for us to a
And we
Discord
need
space.
to reach more people. So if you like it,
Share it.
keep growing our community because we
Send
love
this
y'all.
shift out to everybody you know. Everybody you think it would benefit in hearing or being part of this conversation.
And let the shift hit the fan.
All of the fans everywhere.
Saying it like that made me want to say, let the bodies hit the floor, but let the shift hit the fan.
Let the shift hit the fan. Let the shift hit the fan. I like that.
All right. Thanks, Shifties.
Love you. High five. Why do I do that? High five. High five. High five. Right. Let the shift hit the fan. Let the shift hit the fan.